Good morning, and thank you very much, sir. It is a privilege to be here. Thanks to the Fisher Institute for all you do in strategic studies, not only here in Israel, but how you shape the air forces of the world. General Kelman, sir, great to see you again. Thank you for having us. Thank you for allowing Lockheed Martin to be a part of the Israeli Air Force. My Hebrew is not so good. My English is even worse. So if you would indulge me for a minute, with the F-35, the Addir, it is a fabulous airplane. It is both evolutionary, but more importantly, it is revolutionary. And in that regard, there are many airmen in the audience. Importantly, there are also many men and women who have children who serve not only here in Israel in compulsory duty, but also those of the air forces that will fly this airplane. And I think, and as a father of an airman, and one who has many people of my age who have children in the services of our nations, the most important people who will appreciate the F-35 as a component of many air forces are the mothers and fathers of the children who serve on the ground. Because it is, again, not only evolutionary, but revolutionary in what it brings, not, as General Coleman said, not just as a fighter airplane, but as an integral piece of a battle space command and control system, which brings such incredible capability to the command and control leadership of the nations that will fly it. Most importantly, in my background, after some 36 years in the U.S. Air Force and then retiring in 2012, I had the opportunity to think back about what was so important. And I visited Israel in 1988. At that time, I was a major. I was the aide-de-camp to the commander of the United States Air Forces Europe. And on an exchange visit with the chief of staff of the IAF, General Bill Kirk came and I dragged his bags. And we had the opportunity to see just how critically important air power is to the state of Israel. And since that time frame, we have all watched the air forces of the world, watched how the IAF has done business. It is an incredible privilege and a pleasure to be here and to be able to talk about the F-35 and where it is today. It is a rapidly maturing platform. It is still in test. It is operational, as General Kelman said, with the United States Marine Corps. The United States Air Force goes IOC this summer. Your first two F-35s, the Addir, roll out this summer, and they will be delivered here in December of this year. So this is a critical milestone. Other critical milestones in the platform, we're over 50,000 hours of flying now. Over 170 airplanes are flying both operationally and tests. There are 8 bases that operations are going on, plus our 2 test bases, one on the east coast of the United States and one on the west coast. We are rapidly closing in what we call the SDD program, which will close in 2017. And so the maturity rate of the airplane is going quite well. Obviously, there are continuing challenges that we have to ensure that we meet the requirements of the air forces who will take this airplane to initial operational capability. But we are well on the way to ensuring that the platform will deliver not only to the aviators who will fly it, the maintainers who will ensure that it is operationally ready, and the functional and technical staffs who will bring the airplane to fully operational capability. And we're very pleased to be a part of an incredible team. And you have our total commitment to ensure that the airplanes are here in December, and as well that they meet all of your services requirements. With that, I'd like to go through, it's very hard to follow an air chief who speaks so eloquently about his Air Force and how it integrates into the Israeli Defense Force, but as well to be able to talk about what this airplane brings to a nation, not just to the airmen that fly it. And so we'll walk a bit back and look at how we got here and what it brings again in the evolutionary standpoint of what many of you know because you have studied the airplane quite well. But we look forward to spending the rest of the day here. We have our cockpit demonstrator here. We have our lead test pilot, Mr. Al Norman, who has flown both the F-4, a third-generation airplane, who's flown the F-16 for many years and thousands of hours, who has flown the F-22 and has over 500 hours as our lead test pilot at Lockheed Martin Aeronautics in the F-35. So the company has got a proud history and heritage, certainly, with the IAF. We've been with you since your formation as a nation, and certainly a formation of the IAF, and we're very proud of that relationship, and we hope to continue that for many decades to come. And that evolution brings us to the ADIR, and certainly it will enable fourth-generation platforms, but it will also be able to integrate into the battle space an incredible capability that heretofore previous no one understands quite how well it will integrate and ensure the operational commanders will be able to use the platform both as a fighter platform but also as well to be able to help the entire shaping of the battle space, and that's absolutely critical as you and as all the other air forces of the world move forward. If you look at this, as General Kelman said, your neighborhood is a tough neighborhood, and it certainly is not going to get easier in the years ahead. And so if you just look at this map, the unrest that is going on in what we call somewhat of an asymmetric terrorism environment and strife that occurs in countries, many nations throughout the region is very, very tough. And the numbers just don't tell the story of what it means for the strife of the civilian populations of the world. And again, we realize that this is going to get tougher as the years go by. So strength brings peace, and certainly the integration of fifth-generation capability sends strong messages. When I was the air component commander in the CENTCOM AOR from 2006 to 2009, and shortly after that with the introduction of the F-22 into the theater, that sent a very strong message. And when I was the commander in the Pacific, when North Korea would do test launches and would have some misbehavior, the introduction of both the B-2 bomber and the F-22 into South Korea on temporary duty sent very strong messages. So the introduction of fifth generation into a theater of operations sends a strong message because it is an asymmetric force. It is an enabler, it is an integrator that other nations do not have, and that's very, very critical. So as you look at this, why is what we call anti-access and aerial denial, or what I call, and the term is becoming more and more prevalent, contested battle space, why is this so important, and why does fifth generation capability support the freedom of maneuver and a decreasing, if you will, of the enemy's situation awareness and an increase of friendly forces situation awareness? All you need to do, and you know this very well, so I'm preaching to the choir, but as we look at introduction of advanced SAMs, as the Russians have done into Syria, as we look at Su-30 and Su-35 and advanced fourth-generation platforms, if you look at what ultimately, you know, if some nations have their way, there'll be introductions into Iran of advanced systems. This becomes a challenge to be able to ensure not only capability but awareness and the ability based on national sovereign requirements to meet your national needs. And so if you look at this range ring, this is about a 400-mile range ring, and so if you look at this, from the time you take off here, you're being scoped by someone. As you well know, your daily training missions become very problematic on occasion because even to go to a training area, someone is looking at you. And so as you look at the integration of fifth generation, what that platform will bring is incredible capability, incredible situation awareness, not only for the individuals flying, but into the battle command and control capability. If you look in the words of our program executive officer, General Chris Bogdan, and if you look in the words of General Carlisle, the Air Combat Command Commander, the F-35 is shaped not only for today, but with follow-on modernization as in any platform, it will be shaped for the future. In fact, the U.S. Air Force has just came out last week and said their plan is to fly the F-35 through 2070. And so if you look at that, if you look at a 50-year plan, you look at how you modernize platforms, and while we are absolutely integrally working to deliver the airplane today off the production line with what we call 3F, the final configuration software for FOC for the U.S. Navy in 2018, we are already looking and studying in our labs and in our programs of advanced follow-on modernization for the platform to make it viable all the way out to 4 to 5 decades from now. So there are many people in the room who started flying earlier generation airplanes with great success here and great success around the world. I actually started in third generation. I was a backseater in the F4. And so in this migration from first to second to third generation, you look at the capability that platforms bring, and you look at the majority of fourth generation airplanes which nations of the world are flying today, both friendly nations and adversary nations, and you look at what you can do with a fourth generation airplane. You can slap some things on it to make it somewhat smaller. You can have standalone avionics that allow the operators to be able to do multiple things, and you have advanced weapons. But in reality, the transition between fourth and fifth is as revolutionary as going from piston-driven airplanes to jet engines, and then be able to go with a jet engine from subsonic to supersonic. For every fighter pilot in the room and in every nation, we all grew up with the adage that speed is life. And nobody ever wanted to be slow in a fighter airplane. But in reality, in fifth generation, in the future, the transition, speed is still important, but the attributes of a fifth generation airplane really boil down to, besides the fact that you have advanced stealth, besides the fact that you've got sensor fusion, net-enabled operations, and internal weapons, and all the capabilities that you see on the slide, information is the new speed. Because in the domains, one of the domains that is most important is time. Because with mobile threats, with people who shoot and scoot on the ground, with people who hide, and with people who hide in urban environments, time is a dimension that you must be able to prosecute in real time. And so the information and the ability to deal in real time is very important. And so the fusion of data is something that fourth generation aviators have to deal with. In fifth generation, the platform fuses the data itself. It fuses it from multiple sources, and it enables that capability for the aviator to become a battle space manager. And so the additions, if you will, the common attributes that Lockheed Martin, the U.S. Air Force, started with the F-22 have evolved dramatically into the attributes that you see here with the F-35. Multispectral sensors that are internal to the airplane. So you're not hanging pods on airplanes anymore, everything is internal. What we need to do is make our weapons catch up to the platform. So we've got third and fourth generation weapons today that we're going to put on fifth generation airplanes. And so as we go through testing in the F-35, we have tested all of the weapons internal now, and we are testing right now external weapons. And you'll see in a later slide that the airplane is actually very capable with both internal weapons, but certainly external weapons as well. So it is an early day. It's an early day fighter when you need stealth, when you must go a long way, but you can load the airplane up with over 18,000 pounds of ordnance total, both internal and external, to allow it to be whatever an Air Force needs it to be to meet mission requirements. So if you look at this, it's fifth generation to the core. As I said earlier, with a fourth generation airplane, you can't put enough stealth into it to make it survivable in a current high-end surface-to-air or air-to-air threat environment. And so if you look at how we designed the F-35, the Adir, it was designed from initial concept as a stealth platform, internal fuel tanks, a fixed-array radar, engine inlets that hide, if you will, the radar signature of an engine, aligned edges, and all of those things that the very best and smartest engineers in the world, in a collaborative effort with engineers from many nations, brought together to enable the platform to be the very best capable platform we could have in what we call a VLO, or very low observable platform. It is fundamental, cannot be retrofitted, and certainly we are seeing incredible results in not only our testing, but as the U.S. Air Force and the U.S. Navy and the Marine Corps are starting to fly the airplane in both air-to-ground testing with our Special Operations Forces and in air-to-air large force exercises. The airplane is performing extremely well, and every pilot who has flown it loves it. Over 250 pilots today are qualified in the airplane. Over 2,500 maintainers are qualified in the airplane, and a very large integral force of simulator teams, technical experts, and then the aviators are enabling and bringing multiple squadrons around the world to operational capability. In fact, in the next 4 years, the nations of the world will stand up over 17 additional F-35 bases, so the program is moving along quite rapidly. Again, if you look at it, the airplane has got 18,200 pounds of gas, so about 2.5 times the internal gas of an F-16. And in an air-to-air configuration, you've got about a 760-mile combat radius. That's very important. It's important if you have to go a long way, but it's also important if you have to loiter for a long time. And in a combat environment, if you're out of weapons, either air-to-air or air-to-ground, the sensor fusion capability of the platform and how the airplanes interoperate together, and then how they can pass data through various links to both other air-to-air or airborne platforms, both fighters and command and control, and then as well down into operational command centers, is absolutely critical. Again, that domain of time, because the distances of which you operate in are very short, and that domain of time is very critical. It is also, as I said earlier, very flexible and adaptable. What an operational commander needs, the airplane can deliver. If you need it slick for stealth and air-to-air, you can do that. If you need to arm it up heavy, fully armed, over 18,000 pounds of ordnance, a variety of weapons can carry, and this is just a demonstration of all the platform weapons that will be capable. And again, certainly as industry continues to work, both indigenous here in Israel and in other nations around the world, all the partner nations are very interested in bringing advanced capability to the platform, both in air-to-air, air-to-surface, and maritime. So it's going to be very adaptable in the future. It is a very software-intensive airplane. It's over 8 million lines of code. By contrast, the F-22 is about 2 million lines of code, so you have a fourfold increase in capability in software. What does that mean? Well, the software replaces the pilot's challenge to integrate multiple sensors, and so the pilot becomes a battle space manager. All of those tasks that we all used to have to do, run the radar, run the targeting pod, run the IRSTS pod, run the radar homing and warning, analyze all of that. The platform does it for itself and integrates in a fusion, and we've gone to multiple links and multiple digital close air support capability. Very flexible and very adaptable. Here's a lesson. Certainly here you understand some of the challenges of hitting hard targets and hitting targets that are very highly defended. I was a planner in the first Desert Storm War, and as we looked at how to get into, even then in 1991, highly defended areas from primarily surface-to-air missile systems, you look at trying to hit a nuclear facility that is highly defended, and all of the airplanes on the left, a 75 airplane package, including big airplanes, including multiple different fourth generation MDSs. We went in, I was not in this particular sortie, but knew it very well. 75 airplanes, 2 were lost, combat losses, 0 mission success, re-rolled, and the 117 at the time, a fairly incredible platform in its age, rolled in with 8 of them and had a mission success. Even in 1991, looking at defenses of SA-2s and SA-6s, SA-8s, you know, the message is there that if you're going to go anywhere that's highly defended, and if you look at the defenses of the future, stealth is very important, very, very important. And the capability of the F-35 with its onboard electronic countermeasures, as well as the VLO stealth, will enable quite capable mission success in the future. So I've talked about this a little bit. What we do not want to do is have aviators that are intensive inside the cockpit. You want to allow fusion of basically all-seeing, all-hearing capability. Anything that emits out there, you'd like to be able to categorize and source that and allow the platform to do that integration, and that's exactly what the F-35 does in net-enabled sensor fusion, not only internally inside one airplane, but sharing that data among multiple airplanes. And so if you look at the, you know, the fourth generation representative cockpit, here's the F-16, the pilot is the manager of the sensors. The pilot is making battle space environments. The pilot is integrating, if you will, the timeline for both air-to-air and air-to-ground fights. And you have to make decisions that the aviator spends a lot, if you will, brain bites making. So you go to a fifth generation cockpit, and the pilot is not a sensor operator. The pilot is an integrated piece. This is man and machine, woman and machine tied together to allow the machine to do all of the fusion and present data so that the aviator becomes the battle space manager. And again, if you're out of your weapons, now the platform stays airborne as a command and control and battle space manager that is actually the best environment to be able to delineate between friend and foe. When I was the air component commander here in the Middle East, in Iraq and Afghanistan, the rules of engagement that we set on how you can operate, what you can drop on, what is friend, what is foe, is a very critical piece that senior commanders have to give to the aviators in the field. This platform, with its incredible capability and sensors, will be the very best delineator of what is friend and what is foe. And so that will enable the aviators to have assurances because it's very important in either urban environments, it's very important in contested environments to have the best absolute data to ensure that in today's world, what target you hit is absolutely the target you desire to hit, and you desire to hit it with the precise effects that we know can be delivered. If you read the words here of General Hawk Carlisle, the air component commander, who has both an incredible background in his history and now is the commander of the combat air forces of the United States Air Force, it's very powerful. The F-35 is the most powerful, comprehensive, integrated sensor suite ever developed. How can you say anything stronger than that? This is, you know, the lead command in the U.S. Air Force who will fly more F-35s than anyone else almost combined. And as he says, when you bring it to the mix, it is an integrator, it is an enabler, and it will enhance fourth-generation airplanes until those fourth-generation platforms degrade out and are retired, and as the nations move to a near fifth-generation fleet. So the value, again, to reinforce, if you think back on the nuclear strike from, or the nuclear site strike and Desert Storm, if you look at, in a contested environment, the assets required in fourth generation as opposed to the assets required in the fifth generation environment, you are able to more efficiently and effectively hit targets as desired with fifth generation with less external assets required. And so obviously this is a function of how nations decide they will use air power. But what you are going to have is an incredible enabling force with fifth generation capability. Now, flown by the world's most respected air forces. Again, the program of record is about 3,100 airplanes today. We anticipate, much like the F-16, that the F-35 will become the airplane of choice for advanced nations who see the capability and see where the threats are going. Again, peace through strength is very, very important. And so the strength that the F-35 brings into a defense force as an integrating capability, not only for air, but for maritime and land, will be a roadmap for the future. And again, we are very, very proud and privileged to be a part of bringing this airplane into many, many nations, and certainly here in Israel. With that, that's a very brief look. Again, it's very hard to follow an air chief. We are privileged to be here and look forward to spending time with you throughout the rest of the day. Thank you very much.
We have a custom in the Fish Institute to give a memento to our guests that came a long way, so please accept a book about the Israeli Air Force. And now you know to which organization you delivered that
yes.
F-35. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.